It looks like the robot has made a nice collection of sheep. And we only gathered 2. We've got green, and black, and red. What an interesting colour mix for a wool farm. Hey! How's it going? And welcome back to MyRail. In this episode, we're going to be making ourselves some wool using OpenComputers. Because vanilla farms, they're cool, but being able to automate it using robots, even better. So, if this is the first time you're seeing this pack or this channel, take a look around. If you like what you see, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So we're here in the millionaire village that we found in the last episode, and we brought in some wood. But while we wait for these guys to wake back up, I should really give you some bad news. I upgraded this pack to Minecraft 1.12 because the MTR mod and Railcraft had both been upgraded to 1.12. Unfortunately though, it looks like the author of MTR has decided to leave the 1.12 version of the mod in an unstable state and move on to 1.16. So unfortunately, a lot of the stuff that we built in the 1.10 version isn't going to work, and some of that stuff just won't be fixed. But now that we've got that little bit of disappointing news out of the way, it's just about time for these guys to wake up. So, let's get started. Okay, so, are you willing to take wool? This is the question. So they will sell us what wool? We've got 3 that they can sell. I'll get 32 for it. So we can give them white wool without a problem. That's not a big issue. And yep, no, I think we can do that. There's a few other things I'll accept as well, but at least they'll still accept some wool. So let us go find a location to make our wool farm, and I will be back in a moment. Okay, so I have found this plains biome here. It's reasonably flat, and of course there's no trees to get in the way. Pretty close to the quarry, which is over there, which means we should have a rail running around here somewhere, so we can bring the trains up, load them up, and send them away. And my plan is, at some point, that I would like to do a sheep farm in this episode, but then of course we need to do other things like wheat, and pigs, and cows, and a lot of other things that might need to be here in a farming area. So this might be a really good place for a big farm. And of course the better thing is we have sheep here, because some of the places I looked at had no sheep, which makes it a little hard to make a sheep farm if you can't find the sheep. And yeah, I know, we're uncreative, we could spawn them in, but it's a lot better to use the environment. We've even got these little black pigs. But let me clear some of this up and set up a basic farm, get the sheep into it, and I'll be back in a second. Come on, sheep. Over here. Where you come? This way. Good sheep. No. You're staying here. Okay, so we have 2 sheep, and we have a pen, and we have some ground which we can use later on for more farms. But of course, the problem with 2 sheep is there's only 2 sheeps. Two sheep. It's 2 sheep. The problem with only 2 sheep is that there's only 2 sheep, which doesn't make it great for collecting wool or anything else. So one of the things we're going to have to do with our robot is make it so it breeds the sheep and collects the wool from the sheep, and probably needs to possibly dye the sheep as well. So what I'm thinking we'll do is we'll just jump out of here first. We'll leave these guys to bar over there, and put down some OpenComputer stuff. Now I have on me an electronic assembler and a computer case tier 2. Now the reason we're using tier 2 is because the yellow one here, we need a yellow thing here. Because what I'm thinking we're doing is we need a inventory to store the wool as we collect it. We need the inventory controller to equip things like wheat and shears, and to insert into specific slots, or take out of specific slots. we're going to throw a solar generator in here because sun. This thing is great for when you're working outside. We're going to need ourselves a CPU. Now we could run with a tier 1 CPU, but it'll be a little slow. And these are limited to 12 components, but let's see if we can fit in there. So we need some RAM. Oh, we've got 24. We'll insert a hard drive, a Lua BIOS, and you can see we're getting very close to our limit already. Now, what I'm thinking of doing is I don't have a computer here, so I want to probably put a disk drive in here and we'll install the OS from the robot itself. Now later on we're going to have to disassemble this because I don't think we're going to get everything in here, but we'll put a graphics card in there, a screen, a keyboard, and I think that's everything we need. So we're on 15 to 24, which isn't too bad, but it's still quite complex. So what I'm actually thinking I might do is once we've done the install the OS and got everything on the hard drive and we know it's working, I'm going to try taking these guys out and see if we can run it in a headless mode. But we're going to click assemble, and of course normally if you're playing on survival you'd have to wait for this thing to process, but because we're in creative it's nice and quick. Decepticon. Okay. So I'm going to put this over here. Let's put it inside here for the moment. Cool, we don't need to have multiple of them, thank you. Now, this guy will turn on. Unrecoverable error. That's cool, that's what we put a disk drive in there for, so we're going to turn that on. And then, of course, we'll start up on the OpenOS disk. We can install as we normally would, or we can actually run it off. We don't need the hard drive, we could just run over a disk drive, which isn't a bad option. But let's install it anyway, so let's get a hard drive in there, nice, we'll use it. Installation complete. Reboot. Yes! Cool, so we can actually get rid of this disk, we don't need that anymore. And we can take the disk drive out as well from the assembled machine. Unless of course we want to put stuff back into here, in which case we'd have to put a disk drive back in. Now we've got the OS installed, and there's some commands we need to know. We can go into Lua, and we'll grab ourselves some shears. Because of course that's what we're here for. We're going to grab this, just the normal shears. Now we have to put that into the inventory. So the highlighted inventory here is the inventory that's currently selected. If we go robot.select, no, must be component.inventory-controller.select, no, wasn't working for some reason. So if we selected, say, slot 2, you'll see this thing here moves. So that lets us select the item. So if we say we want to select item 1, we'll put the shares into that one there. Now the reason why we needed the inventory controller is if we go into here and we go inventory controller.equip, that'll let us insert it, or to swap the current item with that. So if we grab some wheat or something else, wheat would be helpful. Let's grab a stack of wheat. We stick it in there. If we do equip again, it'll swap between the two. So now the shares are the secondary and the wheat is the primary. And you'll actually see it is carrying wheat. Do it again, it'll then switch over. Now this guy here is right next to where we want to be, so we can go robot.use. Okay, we'll go forward one then, forward. And you can see that it took the sheep's wool. So we can do that. That's quite cool. The problem is, if we go forward again, it says it can't move because there's something in the way. So what I'm thinking we'll need to do is we need to go up. Now, is that, I don't think that's going to be low enough. Can we, could you come back? Just back here. I just want to test a theory. Robot.turn left. Oh. Yeah, so it's not high enough. Let's go up again. One more. And now can we go forward? Now the question is, can we use down? So if we go robot.use down. Okay, it works. It didn't take the shears, of course. It didn't do anything with those because it doesn't need to. But it does work from that height, so that's good. We can access the sheep. We'll be able to run around the pen here and grab our wool from each of those. And then maybe if we switch to... won't need to go any further. Component.inventory controller.equip. Like that, and we go use down. Cool, that worked. Nice. Okay, so what I'm going to do is rather than sit here and show you all the mechanics, you've pretty much seen everything I'm going to use. I'm going to write up some code and get it to a point where it's usable, and I'll be back in a moment to show you what we've done. Okay, so hopefully got some code working. It is the moment of truth. I haven't fully tested this code, I've tested bits and pieces of it, but it should all now be together, and hopefully it'll work. So I've called it Sheeper. We go Sheeper. What should happen is it will go down and then it will go up and then it will go down again. And the very first thing it's going to do is try and work out the size of its square. Now if there was a whole bunch of sheep in here, I would recommend probably getting their attention. Oops, getting their attention so that they're not in the way. Because this guy will get very unhappy if there are sheep in the way. But we don't need to do that at the moment because there are not that many sheep. Now, what it's currently doing is, it started on the opposite side to what I thought it would. But you can see it's going and doing a zigzag pattern. And as it encounters something, it will use the tool it's currently carrying. At the moment it's nothing because I didn't load a tool into it. I was hoping it would go to the chest, which it's about to get to a chest anyway, but we'll head over this way. Now the theory is that this chest here will be where it will drop off the wool that it picks up, and the way it knows it's a wool chest is by the fact there's no control items in it. So there's just empty, or there's wool currently, so you can see it's dropped off the one piece of wool it had. We do have the charger here, which it will sit in front of when it needs to. Then we have the open chest here, which has a whole bunch of control items, is what I'm going to call them. So obviously we've got our wheat, and it took the shears, brilliant. So we've got our wheat, which of course will allow it to breed up the sheep. It has some shears, which we've got a couple in here. We'll have to keep these refilled because it will at some point probably run out. And then we've got the dyes. And the way it works, at least hopefully it works like that, is it will go through, it'll go over its zigzag pattern here, counting up how many sheep there are, at the same time of course collecting up what it can. When it gets back to this chest, it'll see, oh, I've only got 2 sheep. I'm going to grab the wheat and go and breed them together until it gets up to a reasonable amount. And if we go, where is my code? Let's go over here. You should see that it says here it's 11 by 16, and the best count in the pen is 58. So it will work out that it needs to have about 58 in the pen to be optimal. That gives the sheep about 3 blocks to move. And when you think about it, 1 meter, that's 3 meters that they can move in. Of course, we can change this in the code if we wanted to. And this code will be up on GitHub like everything else in this series. Now it has no idea if it's seen a sheep before, so if they walk in front of it, or walk below it really, it will count it as being another sheep. Which is a bit of a pain, but it won't happen too often. Now the rules are, if it's not holding shears, it'll grab shears. Doesn't matter what else it's holding or what else it's doing, it'll grab shears. If it is counted that there are less than its recommended amount of sheep in the pen, it'll then grab the wheat and try and feed them up to that point. Once it's got enough sheep, then we'll just keep going back with the shears until it has enough of a certain colour. long as it needs more of the colour, it'll keep using dyes. And there we go. So it swapped it out for some wheat. And now it's going to try and get them to breed. Which could be interesting because they're nowhere close to each other. As you can see, one of the things that's a bit annoying is that while it's holding wheat, the sheep don't come near it. Well, don't come forward like they normally would if the player's holding the wheat. So we're going to hope that we've got enough sheep in here and they're close enough that it can actually feed the wheat and they'll breed and make enough sheep so it will do that. I feel like what I should do is I need to push this guy over here. See if we can get him to a bit more closer to his buddy. Will this work? There we go, look at that. And yay, we get a lamb! Nice. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this to run a little longer and we will come back shortly and see how it's doing. I'll be back in a moment. It's been about 55 minutes roughly, and it has made a lot of sheep. It does take a while to start off, but it should get a lot more as they go. Now I've just noticed though, it's sitting in front of the charger here, and because it's under 50% charge, because it's night time, and I have noticed that the charge is not on, so we probably should actually hit that with a screech. Go into here and just click that, and now you can see it's charge speed 100%, and it's now charging. Look at that. Of course, it has to be connected to power for that to work, which it is. It's connected all the way down there, connects up to the railway line, and there he is. He is off again. How much? See, they haven't got a large amount of wool just yet, but a lot of this time has been spent getting the sheep up to population. And once we get a lot more sheep, of course, it'll get a lot better. Plus, you can walk away. So that's a good thing. What we're going to try now, though, is I'm going to break this guy down. Go away. Come here. Turn off, maybe. Turn him off. And... a way of breaking them off. Click. There we go. Right, but let's go back into creative again, and we'll go up to here, and we were talking about the amount of charge. So if it's been about 50 minutes and it was already at half charge, that probably means we're using a lot more power than I'd like to do. So let's use this disassembler here. Throw that in there. It has a small percentage chance of dropping items or breaking the items. But and it also takes a little while, but once again, because we're in creative, a lot faster. Now I'm thinking what we're going to do, since we know it's working, we can leave. I just realised I should have done one thing beforehand, which is set it up to auto start. I suppose we can do that. Okay, well, that's a nice easy way of getting it all out. We'll just put that into there. So this is just a normal computer case, so we should be able to put most of the stuff we need into here. Into there. Obviously throwing all these things away as we use them. And there should be a keyboard as well. Put that on there. Throw that away. And then we'll place all of those into the... we don't need any of those. We wanted a graphics card. Turn it on. Non-energy, that's not helpful. That should give it enough power, hopefully. Power on. So as you can see, it just works the same. So this is all the stuff the robot was doing. It's just not on the robot. And of course we don't have the upgrades that we've got on there. But what I want to do, so there's our sheeper, got lure. And if we actually look at the hidden files in here, there's a file called .sh.rc. If we run that, and we go super.lua, save, exit, let's make sure that actually worked. And that weird issue with the where it's pressing keys it shouldn't be. Cool, that's working. So if we reboot this, it should only run the Sheepa script. Cool, it did. Now, of course, I'm expecting the failure because we don't have the stuff it needs in there. But it does mean that we can pick this up now and move it across. So let's grab this guy. We'll throw that back into there. We don't need the screen anymore. We'll grab the EEPROM, graphics, all these things here. Yep, expected that. So we will need RAM. I don't know how much RAM we need. We might need probably less than that. But we'll run it on that. We'll run a CPU. We will need the EEPROM. We'll need the hard drive because that's where our script is installed. And the .shrc to auto start. I'm going to put a disk drive in there. We will need the controller upgrades. All those things in there. And the screen and the keyboard can stay away. Same with the graphics card, because the graphics card is only useful if you're going to use a screen. So now we're down to 12 versus whatever it was before, which... just double check those. Actually, let's go bump and bump. So if we put those into there, so there's the screen and the keyboard. So they added 2 complexity, plus your graphics card. There's another one there. So that's 3 different things we can drop out of there. And if this works, which I'm hoping it will, so there's a hard disk, EEPROM, memory. We could drop. Oh, that actually takes 2 memory. We could try that. I don't know how memory hungry my program is. Shouldn't be that hard. We could take some of these other things out if we didn't need them. Like we don't really need a solar generator. So now we'd have an 8. Because we've got that guy there. But this is just while it's sunny. It might as well use the power. We'll leave the disk drive to there so that we can update the programming if needed. Warning and recommended components are missing. Screen, keyboard, and graphics card. Yep, we're expecting that, so let's assemble. We'd normally wait for it to do its thing. We got a Weibo. We'll run around to here. Place this guy down on the ground. There he is. And, okay, so there's no screen, but, does it work? Oh, that looks promising. He's unhappy with something. Could be the sheep. Yep, that's what it is. So he's testing his area. Tooting to say something's in the way, but it's not anymore. And that's what I was saying earlier about how when it organises or works out what it needs to run on, you do need to probably pull the ship away. It'll keep pushing, it'll keep going, but it does make it a little faster if not there. So it looks like that pace worked. Cool, where did it go? Here. And he doesn't have a tool yet, so let's grab him that tool. Right, so he's got a tool, so does it work? Oh, look at that. Cool, it does work with our screen and a keyboard and the graphics card. So there's 3 components we can drop out of it without needing it. So, I think that's actually pretty good. If we give it enough time, it should go through and breed up some more sheep. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it for another hour, just to make sure everything's working properly. And then we can see how much wool we've got once we've got a slightly better amount of sheep in here. Because I don't think we're at an optimal amount at the moment either. So I'll wait an hour, and I'll meet you in about a couple of seconds. looks like the robot has made a nice collection of sheep here. And it has, of course, been probably about 2 hours since we set up the original 2 sheep. So that's not too bad. And it's not a great amount of wool at the moment, but you can see that it's moved through the red, and now it's moving on to green. And one of the things that's configured is it'll only ever keep a maximum of 3 stacks of each type. So once it's got 3 stacks, it'll move on. But you can see now it's going through and change the ones that can to green. So they can get as much green wool as possible to make up those stacks at once. Now we've gone through here, we have used all the wheat in order to do that, so we're probably going to have to put some more wheat in here. Wheat. Some more wheat in there and there. Which might also be why it's moved on. It may not be completely full yet of all the sheep it needs because it's running out of wheat. But we'll have to make some wheat in the future for it to do that. It's currently processing green dye. So it's left one in there so that it doesn't use up the whole slot and we fill up stuff we don't need. It does look like it's doing pretty well. It's 100%, well mostly 100%, so I'd say that's good. Over here you might have noticed that we now have a station to pick up the wool. Haven't configured it up to actually take the wool out because obviously we wanted to see how much wool that was going to generate. But this guy here will pick up the white wool. How do I actually go in this way? If we go over here, we'll grab ourselves a configurator. These guys. And we'll change this. I haven't decided whether I'm going to do it as just an extract, or whether we get one of the clicky annoying things. But we can set that to there, and you can see it's now taking items out. Oops. And it's now filling up the white wool over here. Perfect. We've got... I don't know if I wanted to do that. If I set that like that... Okay, well, it's working. That's cool. It has filled up all the white wool. But obviously we're gonna send this guy on to one of the millionaire villages that requires wool. Because we've now got wool. Whether it has to be white wool or green wool or red wool is a different story. So I think we're gonna end the episode here. If you found anything of use in this episode, please leave a like down below so that YouTube will recommend this to other people. But otherwise, have a great day and see ya!